Summer 1967, Central Vietnam. Kieu Cong and other farmers are peacefully working in the rice fields. Their village is in dire need of supplies as the Vietnam War looms. They have to be quick, as they know that American units are nearby, but they are not quick enough. A platoon of American soldiers appears on the horizon and approaches them. The villagers don't want any trouble. They do not carry any weapons, so they continue with their hard work. Out of nowhere, a shot is fired, and 3 more follow. The shots multiply, and soon, all the farmers lay dead. Sergeant Bill Carpenter of the U.S. Army later recalls, "I couldn't believe it. We didn't have to pick on civilians. We were the Tigers. We were above that." Today, we explore the story of the Tiger Force, a U.S. Special Forces unit that descended into an abyss of murderous violence without ever answering for their actions. Who were the Tigers? Tiger Force was a specialized U.S. long reconnaissance patrol unit from the 101st Airborne Division, established in November 1965. Its mission was to infiltrate deep into enemy territory, track Viet Cong movements, sabotage their operations, and, in general, out-guerrilla the guerrillas. At times, the unit also acted as a commando force, carrying out search and destroy operations. With only 45 soldiers at any given time, each hand-picked for their lethal determination, they faced intense combat from the moment they were deployed. Over the course of 2 years, many hundred men served in the unit, enduring some of the most brutal conditions of the Vietnam War. During this period, the war escalated sharply. By 1965, U.S. involvement had deepened with major bombing campaigns like Operation Rolling Thunder. In 1966, troop numbers surged, leading to more frequent and bloody confrontations across the jungles and cities of South Vietnam. By 1967, the conflict had reached a stalemate, and units like Tiger Force were expected to end it. In 1967, many U.S. units, including Tiger Force, were tasked with evacuating civilians from border zones between North and South Vietnam, areas suspected of hiding and feeding Vietnamese fighters who used them as bases to attack the South. Thousands of Vietnamese were relocated to camps where they were promised safety, while those who refused to leave were seen as communist sympathizers and treated accordingly. In most cases, the villagers were removed by force, and their villages were put on fire so they could not return. These were the official orders from high in the U.S. military hierarchy, and were considered a totally normal part of the war, completely neglecting the recognized fact that the only way for the U.S. Army to actually prevail in Vietnam was to win the hearts and minds of the Vietnamese. This Army logic then completely overlooked the deep existential and cultural connection the villagers had to their land that went back for centuries. This kind of asymmetrical war already had the spurs of a tragedy, and the Tiger Force's role in this tragedy would become central, starting on July 2, 1967, with the arrival of their new commander, Lieutenant James Hawkins. Evacuating Song Ve Valley. July 1967, Song Ve Valley. The Tiger Force has been in Song Ve Valley for a month already, and all the soldiers hope their exhausting evacuation mission under the hot sun will soon end. But despite the thousands of leaflets dropped and daily evacuations, many villagers remain scattered in small hamlets of fewer than 10 huts. The soldiers are ordered to clear them out, one by one. To simplify the task, the area is declared a free fire zone, meaning anyone left behind is considered a combatant. In theory, civilian lives are to be respected, but in practice, it's a shoot first, ask questions later policy. Soon, 2 civilians are gunned down in front of journalist Dennis Stout, accompanying the platoon. Lieutenant Hawkins' arrival escalates the violence. Harsh, reckless, and with deep-rooted racist views. He sees anyone in the free fire zone as fair game. Civilians and prisoners mean nothing to him. One day when a villager is captured, one of Hawkins' men hits him without provocation. When others rush to defend the man, Hawkins steps forward without hesitation, raises his rifle, and shoots the man in the head, half his skull blown away. The killing is not only unnecessary, but also dangerous, as it jeopardizes the platoon inside enemy lines. But when other lieutenants object, Hawkins dismisses them, actively encouraging more violence. "Shoot anything that moves," he orders. Soon, the brutality spirals. During a patrol, soldiers spot 3 figures in the distance. A boy leading 2 blind men. Though clearly civilians, suspicions arise. They assume them to be spies. The fact that spies are rarely blind doesn't matter. The 2 blind men are pushed into a rice paddy and executed. "They're Viet Cong," a soldier claims when others question the execution. Nearby, another team of the Tigers enters a village. An old man attempts to communicate with them, but with no interpreter, they can't understand him. Instead of detaining him, they shoot him in the head and chest. To cover the murder, they plant a grenade on him to make him look like the enemy. And the atrocities continue. With an interpreter present this time, soldiers taunt a prisoner instead of proceeding to a normal interrogation. One soldier bets he can knock him out with a punch. When the first punch fails, they force the prisoner back, and another soldier steps behind with a bayonet. On the next punch, the prisoner's head is driven into the blade, impaling him. As the weeks pass, soldiers openly share these stories. But these aren't tales of combat. They're about slaughtering civilians. Lieutenant Donald Wood has had enough. He reports Hawkins' conduct and the gruesome acts to his superiors. Their response is shocking. "What do you expect me to do? We're in the middle of a war. You want me to pull our best unit because a few guys are killing gooks?" Wood, one of the few remaining voices of reason, is soon shipped to another unit. The situation, it seems, will only get worse. Chuang Tin, searching in the jungle. On August 10th, 1967, the Tiger Force received a new mission. They are to leave the Songbei Valley and venture deep into the Chuang Tin province to locate and eliminate a specific Viet Cong encampment. The terrain is harsher and more dangerous than anything they faced in the valley. Dense jungles, hidden bunkers, and the ever-present threat of guerrilla fighters make Chuang Tin a no-man's land. Cut off from helicopter support and other units, the Tigers are left to navigate a maze of deadly traps alone. Soon, the first soldiers begin to die. With each casualty, the Tigers' thirst for revenge intensifies. In their eyes, all Vietnamese are just the same. Killing on sight quickly becomes the norm. Left unchecked for months, they act with impunity, without fear of consequences, in search of the encampment. One day, as they push deeper into enemy territory, they come upon a hamlet. They move cautiously in single file, rifles ready, when suddenly they see children and women running, rushing into underground cellars to hide. The Tigers call for them to come out. Silence. They have no time to waste on them. After a minute passes, they toss grenades into the cellars, killing everyone inside. Afterward, they find no evidence that the villagers were Viet Cong sympathizers. There was nothing there, one soldier remarks grimly. Nothing. These brutal acts become routine, with even more reluctant soldiers joining in the senseless violence. Yet, there is still no sign of the Viet Cong encampment, and the battalion officers in the base grow impatient. When asked about details, Hawkins avoids reporting all the deaths. He knows that all these killings are counterproductive, even damaging to their operation. Soon, an incident will confirm this, when the Tigers encounter a man with his pregnant wife and 2 children. The man offers information on the Viet Cong, but only if his family is guaranteed safety. His plea does little to quell the Tigers' rage. One of the soldiers, William Doyle, demands the information immediately, refusing to make deals with the man. He hits him. As the man pleads for his family's safety, the soldiers shoot him dead. The situation escalates when Doyle prepares to kill one of the children. This time, a new soldier, Gerald Brunner, intervenes, raising his weapon and threatening Doyle. "If you fire on the kid, I'll do the same to you, damn it." It's the first time a Tiger turns his gun on another. Brunner later reports the incident and requests a transfer, but his concerns are dismissed. Operation Wheeler. The summer ends, and the Tigers are ordered to pull out of Chuang Tin. Some fear they may have to answer for their actions, but no accountability comes. Their next mission leaves even more room for violence. No more villages, no more encampments. Operation Wheeler is a search-and-destroy campaign aimed at eradicating all Viet Cong and North Vietnamese forces around the port of Chu Lai. The mission begins on the 11th of September, and at first it seems like a triumph. But triumph quickly turns to disaster as the Tigers face brutal conditions in the enemy's terrain. Hawkins' reckless leadership only worsens their situation. To understand how deeply these conditions affected the men, we can look at one in particular, Sam Ibarra. Ibarra enlisted in 1966 alongside his childhood friend, Kenneth Green, and both were assigned to Tiger Force. As old friends, they often competed, but Ibarra's behavior soon became more troubling. One day, without reason, he slit a prisoner's throat, deeply disturbing Green. Worse, Ibarra started collecting the ears of the dead, wearing them as a necklace, a gruesome sight. But as the unit grew more hardened, others began to follow Ibarra's path. When Green was eventually killed right after Operation Wheeler started, Ibarra's rage spiraled out of control. "I'm going to kill every gook I can find," he vowed. Doyle echoed with this chilling simplicity. Kill anything. Anything that moves, even if it's not moving. Deep behind enemy lines, battle-weary, traumatized, and with no respect for their leadership, the Tigers descend into madness. New recruit Ryan Causey would later describe them as bloodthirsty. Ibarra always takes the lead, now opening fire without hesitation, and others follow his example. They shoot and lob grenades until their ammunition is spent. No one is spared. Mutilations, ear and scalp collecting, stabbings of corpses, and the cutting off of noses and fingers become part of their murderous rite. When Hawkins is finally relieved of command in late October and replaced by Harold Magaha, it is too late. Magaha, though more capable and inspiring confidence, cannot rein in the unit's fury, especially not Ibarra's. This becomes painfully clear during his first mission in charge. Upon entering a Vietnamese clearing, Magaha orders his men to fire. Screams erupt as terrified residents try to flee. A mother carrying her baby crawls to the rear of her hut, but she is immediately shot, the infant falling from her arms. Magaha quickly orders his men to stop, but they don't listen. His commands are drowned out by their rage. Through the smoke, he sees bodies strewn across the dirt. Babies, women, children. Some adults died shielding the children beneath them. It's a slaughter, and he just accepts it and goes on. The carnage is further encouraged by their base commander, Lieutenant Colonel Gerald Morse. "You are the 327th Infantry," he declares in October. "We want 327 kills." By the 19th of November, in less than a month, the magic number is officially reached, though it is certainly higher. Causey alone claims to have killed 120. The fact that most of the dead are civilians seems irrelevant. On that day, after a skirmish with actual enemies, Ibarra storms into a hut and finds a dead woman, her baby still alive and crying beside her. Collateral damage. Without hesitation, Ibarra kneels over the infant, knife in hand, and beheads it. It is an unspeakable act of violence, one that many soldiers never even hear about. As such, stories spread through the ranks, the unit is finally dissolved in November, and its soldiers are redeployed. Investigation and cover-up. March 1972, Los Angeles. Gus Apsey of the Criminal Investigation Command is informed about an allegation regarding war crimes in Vietnam, the Khoi allegation. It is not the first one, especially after the revelations of the My Lai massacre and the trials that followed in 1970. You can learn more about this dire moment in U.S. Army history by watching the video in this link. This new allegation, however, stands out. A soldier named Sam is accused of slitting a baby's throat in 1967. Apsey, no stranger to investigating rapes, murders, and assaults, knows this case demands a deeper look. His investigation is far from straightforward. He only has two names, Sam and Tiger Force, but nothing else. The Tiger Force seems to be a ghost platoon, and nobody he asks knows exactly what it refers to. It is just in May, 2 months later, that he learns more about it. But that doesn't make his investigation much easier. Some of the unit's soldiers are dead. Others have left the army, and tracking down witnesses proves challenging. One journalist, Dennis Stout, had already reported early killings, but such serious allegations need to be more than one man's account. In January 1973, a breakthrough arrives when Bill Carpenter reveals harrowing details: torture, executions of innocent villagers, even children. He also exposes Commander Morse's order to hit a kill count of 327. The case is growing darker, and Apsey knows he's onto something significant. Armed with new evidence, Apsey confronts key figures Hawkins, Doyle, and Ibarra. All deny involvement and refuse further discussion. But other soldiers begin talking, and a clearer, horrifying picture of the events from May to November 67 emerges. These weren't isolated incidents of leadership failures or rogue soldiers. The crimes spanned hundreds of civilians, and officers at the base knew. Worse, they consciously chose to ignore it, revealing a deeper rot within the U.S. strategy in Vietnam. When the U.S. pulls out of Vietnam in 1973, the investigation stalls. By 1974, Apsey brings his findings to Colonel Henry Tufts, commander of the CID. Tufts is ready to dive deeper into the case, but soon he's dismissed from his position. Apsey's final report, delivered in 1975 after 3 years of investigation, seems like it should spark a major prosecution. But weeks later, Apsey is shocked to find himself reassigned to Seoul. The Pentagon, despite overwhelming evidence, has decided it's better to cover up the case. Nothing beneficial or constructive could result from prosecution at this time, is what's said. And just like that, the case is shelved, buried, for almost 3 decades. Revelation and aftermath. December 2002, Michigan. Several boxes filled with documents arrive by mail at the university's library. These documents come from Army Commander Henry Tufts of the CID, who has passed away in the summer, leaving behind a wish for the revelations about the Tiger Force's crimes to become public. Journalists Michael Sala and Mitch Weiss sift through the materials, uncovering the longest series of atrocities committed by a U.S. fighting unit, along with a comprehensive Army investigation that has ultimately been covered up. Sala and Weiss replicate the process that Apsey undertook 30 years ago. They track down members of the platoon. Although many key figures like Sam Ibarra are now dead, they reconstruct the entire story. Doyle, one of the most brutal members of the Tiger Force, opens up, but expresses no remorse. "If I walk into a village and everyone isn't lying prostrate on the ground, I shoot those standing up," he tells Weiss during a series of long, rambling phone interviews. "If they don't understand fear, I teach it to them. The way to live is to kill, because you don't have to worry about anybody who's dead." His only regret is that he didn't kill more. To validate their findings, Sala and Weiss travel to Vietnam, where they speak with survivors, including the son of Kieu Cong, the farmer shot dead while collecting rice. The survivors' testimonies echo the journalists' research, revealing that U.S. soldiers have indeed committed extreme atrocities, killing hundreds without justification. This journalistic investigation, which wins a Pulitzer Prize in 2004, exposes a troubling truth. War crimes can go unpunished in the U.S. when high-ranking officials choose to remain silent. When the truth becomes undeniable, responsibility is easily shifted to the soldiers, while the real decision-makers and policymakers evade accountability. It is disturbing to consider what other atrocities have been committed and what remains unknown about Vietnam and other military operations deemed too sensitive for the public to know. If you want to learn more about U.S. war crimes in Vietnam, you can watch our video on the My Lai Massacre, the largest massacre of civilians by U.S. forces in the 20th century.